Now on Nightside, the first snow of the season is almost here, merely hours away. I'll tell you how to plan around this big change in the weather.
And breaking news tonight, fire crews surround a home in North Spokane. You're watching 4 News Now Nightside. And thanks for staying up with us. I'm Kirsten O'Connor.
And I'm Derek Dice. Let's get straight to that snow expected for your morning commute tomorrow. We're already seeing some of that snow falling, and it will continue overnight.
And that's why meteorologist Matt Gray, along with our team of weather experts here at 4 News Now, declared a weather alert day. We are hours away.
Hours away. And we all know what happens the first couple times it snows in the fall and the early winter. Things get a little slippy and slidey out there. It's a little bit more of a traffic headache than it would be, say, if we had, well, an inch or two of snow in the middle of December. And we're starting up at the passes already. We've got a good amount on Stevens Pass. You can barely see the highway here on this camera shot, and you're seeing the little snow coming down on Lookout Pass as well. So already snow levels approaching 3,000 feet, I believe, was Checkawood Snoqualmie Pass, and we are very, very close to seeing snow starting there as well. And so as we head to the rest of the night, everything's going to continue to lower down towards the valley floors. Here's the situation right now. We've got plenty of rain across the inland northwest. It has been coming down in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, and we are going to watch that eventually become a rain-snow mix as our temperatures continue to cool off over the next few hours. And by the time we are getting up in the morning, more snow will be on the way. And yes, it is going to be all snow, and it will be cool enough that it's going to start sticking. And so particularly on the sidewalks and the untreated side roads and residential roads, things are going to be slippery as you start off your morning commute. And so you need to plan a little bit of extra time to get out of your neighborhood and get onto some of the arterial roads that'll be a little bit better treated. Now, here's what we have as far as the latest snowfall projections for tomorrow across the Spokane and Coeur d'Alene area. Generally, we are looking at between 1 and 2 inches, although some places could fall just short of that 1-inch mark. We'll take a broader look around the rest of the inland northwest and see who gets the snow and, perhaps more importantly, who doesn't tomorrow. We'll talk about some chilly temperatures on the way in your extended forecast.
Thank you, Matt. Well, the morning is going to require a little extra patience and preparation.
But the city of Spokane says it's ready to tackle it. Crews have been preparing de-icer, sand, and salt at all 4 corners of the city and getting major roads ready.
We will be pre-treating those arterials in the hills with that liquid de-icer this afternoon and this evening to prepare for that snow that's going to come down. And what that will do is when that moisture comes down, it'll kind of start to melt it as it lands.
The city will also have trucks ready to go with sand and salt tomorrow morning to take care of any traction issues.
We know kids and parents are wondering if enough snow will fall to trigger delays or school closures tomorrow. If your child goes to a Spokane public school, here's what you need to know. Families will get email, text, or phone notifications between the hours of 5:30 and 6 a.m. if weather impacts school schedules. If you don't get a notification by 6 a.m., probably safe to assume that it's a normal schedule. And if you live in Spokane, you should keep a 36-inch path clear per a city ordinance for kids who are walking to school. Download the 4 News Now weather app to get the latest weather updates for your neighborhood. And be sure to have Good Morning Northwest on first thing tomorrow morning for the very latest on weather and traffic conditions, plus information on any school delays or closures all winter season long.
All right, some breaking new information since we were last on the air just before 8 o'clock tonight. This house near 5 Mile in North Spokane caught fire. When crews from Fire District 9 arrived, they could see flames coming through the windows. Firefighters managed to get the homeowners and their pets out safely. The cause of the fire is still under investigation.
The Spokane County Sheriff's Office is looking for 5 men involved in a brawl that ended with a car crashing through a North Spokane music studio. The video is hard to believe. It all happened on the 15th. Surveillance video capturing that moment a car crashed into that local music studio, and another camera shows an argument in the parking lot just before 2 a.m. That's when the driver lost control and smashed right through the studio, then tried to take off. The owner of the studio says she's planning to move to a safer neighborhood.
About 20 years, and this is This is the culmination of a dream, to work with students, to enjoy music and pass the love on. You know, music is healing. Music is everything to me, and people are everything to me. And at that moment, I thought, this is it. It's over.
The Spokane County Sheriff's Office says it's looking for those men involved in the incident and asking the public for help to find them.
A network of thieves stole 9 cars and 15 sets of keys from Northtown Auto Sales on North Division and Garland early this morning. Just before 2 a.m., one of the thieves rappelled himself into the building through the roof. That's the only room that doesn't have a camera or an alarm system. It's also where all the keys were. The thief must have exited through the ceiling because no alarms ever went off. Camera footage from the lot then shows him stealing a Dodge minivan. Then, about an hour later, he returns, this time with friends. For about 4 hours, those thieves go back and forth, stealing more and more cars.
It takes a lot of work just to transport 10 separate cars. It takes people and manpower, and you've got to get them across town, and I just don't know where they're going to hide 10 cars. So I think that would be the biggest thing, is if we can get this out there, it'd be a humongous help. Like I said, I don't think our insurance is only going to cover so much. So if we never found these cars, it would be pretty devastating.
Now, so far, 4 of the 9 cars have been found. If you see any suspicious cars in your area, you're encouraged to call Crime Check.
New information now about what led to a man being accused of threatening to shoot up Eastern Washington University last week. 26-year-old Justin Hale made his first appearance in Superior Court this afternoon. According to a court affidavit, it started when Hale was collecting signatures for a petition for a ban on gender-inclusive bathrooms. He was overheard by students on campus using the N-word toward people who challenged that petition. Witnesses told campus police he repeatedly used the slur and then threatened to shoot up the campus. Hale is being held on a $250,000 bail and will be back in court November 7th. New on Nightside now, a group of Gonzaga basketball players surprised a patient with a terminal illness at Deaconess Hospital today. The organization One More Time Northwest organized this visit. The players, which included Ben Gregg, Graham Ike, and Dusty Stromer, even signed the ball you can see sitting there in her lap. Multicare says she was so excited to meet the players and wanted to talk to them all about the history of Gonzaga basketball. One player was even moved to tears.
Love seeing that right there. Now, time for a quick look at sports. I'm Julian Minensohn. Next season's Washington State football schedule could become clear soon. According to Yahoo Sports, Washington State and Oregon State have been in talks with the Mountain West Conference. Both schools are looking to form a scheduling alliance for 1 or 2 years while they continue to operate as the Pac-2. Reports say the proposed partnership includes scheduling models of 8 and 7 games against Mountain West teams, with the impression that WSU and OSU would eventually join the conference long term. The Cougars and Beavers have been left out of conference realignment discussions, leaving both schools without a schedule for next season. Washington State and Oregon State are in the middle of a legal battle against the departing Pac-12 schools over control of the conference's assets. This has caused WSU and OSU to be in a holding pattern until the future of the Pac-12 is resolved. And a hearing on the matter is scheduled for November 14th in Whitman County. Live in the studio, Julian Minensohn, 4 News Now Sports.
Thank you, Julian. $6.1 million. That's how much money will come from COVID relief funds to keep the Track Resource Center open until next June. Last night, the Spokane City Council approved reallocating some funds to put more dollars toward the track shelter. The money is being moved from programs like mobile medical services and the eviction defense program. $4 million was taken from an affordable housing project. Local sales tax 1590 that was approved in 2020 will now fund the project.
So those were actually programs where we ran existing requests for proposals, and it was underutilized. So those dollars were not being fully allocated in those areas. So that they've been pulled back to be able to utilize the Trent Resource and Assistance Center dollars.
Councilmember Michael Cathcart was the only one who voted against it. Other council members say a more sustainable plan needs to be presented to fund the homeless shelter long term. A Washington lawmaker arrested for bringing a gun on a plane.
Now he's stuck in Hong Kong until he faces charges, why he says it was an honest mistake. Plus, what new court documents reveal about the pilot now facing 83 counts of attempted murder on a flight from Everett to San Francisco.
4 News Now on your time with Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
4 News Now is brought to you by Gamma Knife.
I had a lot of bad days with gout, but that one took the wedding cake. Even with medicine, my uric acid was still too high to stop painful gout buildup. Then a gout specialist told me about Cristexa.
Cristexa is a prescription medicine for adults with gout whose symptoms are not controlled by other gout medicines.
I learned Cristexa quickly starts working to break down gout buildup.
Cristexa is an infused medicine. Serious life-threatening allergic reactions can occur while taking Cristexa. Tell your doctor right away if you have symptoms such as shortness of breath, trouble breathing, dizziness, itching, or swelling of the throat or tongue. Cristexa is not recommended if you have high levels of uric acid without a history of gout. Do not take Cristexa if you have a rare disorder called G6PD deficiency or favism. Before receiving Cristexa, tell your doctor if you have a history of heart problems and all the medicines you take. Cristexa may cause gout flare-ups, allergic reactions, nausea, bruising, sore throat, constipation, chest pain, and vomiting.
I received Cristexa for about 6 months. Now I'm in control, not gout.
Find a doctor who specializes in gout at goutdocnow.com.
A controversial camping ordinance and a sales tax hike to pay for a new jail.
2 issues you're being asked to vote on in November. I'm Derek Dice.
And I'm Robin Nance. Before you decide, get information with 4 News Now ballot breakdowns. Wednesday on Good Morning Northwest.
And 4 News Now at 6.
We aren't just HVAC specialists. We're a Lennox Premier dealer. That means we offer the most energy efficient products on the market with savings you can see and perfect air you can feel. Your comfort is our passion, and we're with you every breath of the way. Enjoy greater comfort and lower energy costs. Call us today and save on Lennox with special incentives and rebates.
Call Norco Heating and Air today.
This is going to be a lot of fun.
He's got the stars.
Yeah.
The studs.
I don't remember a time in my life I didn't watch his shows.
And the unexpected.
I've always thought of you as Dave Jr.
Every hair on my body is standing up right now.
Jimmy Kimmel Live, new weeknights on ABC.
This week's Washington Trust Shred location is at the Lincoln Heights branch.
All right, well, thanks for staying up with Nightside. The Stevens County Jail was built in the early 1970s in the basement of the courthouse. And back then, the design was only meant to house around 22 inmates. But right now, it's holding 57.
It's why the sheriff's office is hoping to pass a bond that would allow them to build a new jail and juvenile justice center. Together, the 2 propositions will increase the county sales tax from 7.6% to 8%. The tax only applies to sales tax, so it doesn't apply to grocery or use tax. One of the biggest issues the jail faces is the amount of people they have to turn away because of capacity.
If we catch somebody shoplifting, at most they get a ticket.
If passed, taxes will increase January 1st. The sheriff's office hopes to break ground on the new building by 2025.
A Washington lawmaker arrested for bringing a gun on a plane to Hong Kong will have to stay overseas a while longer to face charges. Republican Senator Jeff Wilson represents the 19th District, which spans from Aberdeen to Longview. He was arrested when he landed in Hong Kong Sunday, where he was on vacation with his wife. The gun is registered in Washington, not Hong Kong, and Wilson said it was an honest mistake. He discovered it in his bag mid-flight and then immediately told Customs. Now, TSA is trying to figure out how the gun slipped through security in Portland. Nationwide, TSA is finding a lot of guns at those checkpoints. If the trend keeps up, 2023 will beat last year's record for number of guns seized. So far this year, TSA has found more than 3,200 guns at airports nationwide. 113 of those are at SeaTac. But those TSA agents are missing them too. In 2017, TSA agents failed 80% of the tests done to see if they could find firearms in people's bags.
Not guilty. That's the plea entered by a pilot who allegedly tried to shut down the engines of an Alaska Airlines flight. He is charged with 83 counts of attempted murder. In court documents, he admitted to taking psychedelic mushrooms. According to a newly released arrest warrant, Joseph Emerson was sitting in the cockpit behind 2 other pilots somewhere between Astoria and Portland. He said, "I'm not okay," and grabbed red fire handles that kill the engines and activate a fire extinguisher system. Emerson and a pilot wrestled for about 30 seconds, and Emerson left the cockpit. He then told the flight attendant to cuff him, and he was put in the back of the plane where he tried to grab an emergency exit handle as the plane was landing. He told police at the airport that he hadn't slept in 40 hours, thought he was dreaming, and was having a breakdown. Emerson faces 83 counts of attempted murder.
And we turn now to your forecast. Tomorrow is a 4 News Now weather alert day because it's our first snow of the new season, and there are going to be some difficult driving conditions out there on Wednesday morning. In particular, those side streets and side roads that don't get treated overnight as the snow falls down and some of this rain begins to freeze up overnight. Things are going to get a little squirrely out there. So here's the situation. We've got multiple bands of moisture, and right out ahead of this center of low pressure you see here that's swirling around and about to basically hit land just north of the Columbia River. Here's what we see in the early hours of the morning. Some scattered snow or a rain-snow mix around Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, but nothing too crazy. But another deeper band of moisture will be pushing its way towards us and towards the higher elevation zones of the inland northwest, starting off as rain around places like Moses Lake and Ritzville, but as it travels north and up in elevation as we go through the morning, all of a sudden things get pretty snowy pretty quickly from Wenatchee to Spokane to Coeur d'Alene, all the way to Lookout Pass. And this particular band of snow, region of snow here, this is what is going to be creating those difficult driving conditions as we head through the morning. And once we get past lunchtime, things will start to ease up a little bit and we'll see some clearing conditions there. But in the morning, for the bus stop, for headed to work, whatever you're doing, it is going to be a little bit of a slow go, just because, once again, first time snowing here in a little while. Things always usually operate a little bit slower on the roads. And we will, especially those side streets, start to see things get a little bit slushy. Here's the latest projections region-wide. And because this heavier snow was going to be so tightly kind of in this tight band here, places like Bonners Ferry, like Colville, like Omak, actually not going to end up seeing a ton of snow accumulation. But as you head further south, closer to I-90, closer to Highway 2, you're going to see that 1 to 2 inch range for communities in that little zone there. Now, you head even further south, warmer air in places like Pullman, like Ritzville, like Moses Lake. You may see some snow falling, but it's unlikely to stick with warmer ground temperatures. The second half of the day, things start melting and we can start to get things a little bit more back to normal. But there is nothing normal about the cold temperatures we're going to see over the next few days. We'll show you that in your extended forecast coming up.
Okay, so instead of being bogged down by it, let's build the excitement about this first real snowfall this season and talk about the start of ski and snowboard season.
That's one reason to be excited. If you're in need of some new gear or want to swap out some of your old stuff, you'll want to check out the Mount Spokane Ski Patrol Ski Swap this weekend. It's been going on forever. It'll be held at the Spokane County Fairgrounds and Expo Center this Saturday and Sunday. That's the 28th and 29th. You'll be able to find thousands of new and used skis, snowboards, clothing, and children's gear.
Washington's Attorney General is now suing Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. In a lawsuit, Bob Ferguson accuses Meta of putting profits before the well-being of kids. He says the company knowingly targeted teens, calling them a valuable but untapped market. Ferguson says Meta used harmful features to get them hooked to social media platforms for life, just to boost profits. And he specifically pointed out the like button, the infinite scroll and push notifications that trigger a feel-good response. Ferguson is now calling on Meta to make big changes, including getting rid of the like button, strengthening controls for age requirements, and restricting content that is most harmful to kids. Idaho's Attorney General is joining the Washington lawsuit as well.
A startling new report from Harvard finding 18 to 25-year-olds suffer anxiety and depression at twice the rate of 14 to 17-year-olds. ABC's Deborah Roberts takes a closer look.
Hi, I'm Audrey.
I'm Tarun.
I'm Daria, and I'm 23 years old.
They're among the brightest of Gen Zers, Daria, Tarun, and Audrey.
I work in a lab and do research.
I was going to be a senior in college this year and dropped out to start my own startup.
And I study political science.
But this morning, they're also raising concerns about the state of their generation's mental health.
There's a lot of things that can make us overwhelmed and stressed out.
And some researchers aren't at all surprised. A new report from Harvard's Making Caring Common project says 18 to 25-year-olds are about twice as likely as 14 to 17-year-olds to suffer from anxiety and depression. Psychologist Richard Weisbord directed that new study. Young adults, you sort of figure they're coming out of college, maybe starting their first new jobs. Why are they so vulnerable right now?
High rates of loneliness among young adults. I think it's a world that seems off the rails to them. I think it's unclarity about their job prospects. And I think social media turbocharges all of this.
After talking with more than 700 young adults, the survey found that more than half say financial worries and pressures to achieve negatively influence their mental health. A staggering 58% say they lacked meaning or purpose in their lives.
It's trying to figure out where you're going to live and how you're going to afford to live.
Everyone is super ambitious, and that creates a little bit of a toxic environment where people feel like it's a very comparative space.
And though the internet may connect them, these young adults say they crave in-person interaction.
I remember my parents telling me about bowling leagues and being able to go to the mall and then and doing things like that in real life. But now when you meet someone, you exchange Instagrams.
While the numbers may sound bleak, Weisbord says there are some positives in the data. What gives you hope for them?
I think this is a very psychologically aware generation. They're very articulate about their feelings, and they may break the stigma about mental health that we have in this country.
That's how people make connections, right? It's like, you have anxiety? Oh my gosh, me too.
Everyone really is more used to showing their emotions on their sleeve. And I think that's like a really good step in the right direction.
I have major hope in our generation.
That was ABC's Deborah Roberts reporting. Cooler temperatures could mean a steep heating bill at the end of the month. Things you can do right now to keep your costs down and your house warm. Next on Nightside.
Sign up for breaking news alerts with the 4 News Now app.
What you see is important. That makes quality eye care important too. Get personalized care from experienced optometrists at Shopko Optical. Better eye care. You'll see. Don't need glasses. See us for your contacts and save on your annual supply.
It was in August. Fires raged through our area. This one, the Gray Fire in Medical Lake. Homes destroyed, trees destroyed along with it. They've got to come down and get moved out for the rebuild. We're here in mid-October to help move them. The 4 News Now Extreme Team, brought to you by and with volunteers from Horizon Credit Union.
Can we trust Betsy Wilkerson to do the right thing for Spokane? First, Wilkerson voted to defund police drug investigations. You heard that right. Wilkerson voted to defund drug investigations. Then Wilkerson voted against barring homeless encampments within 1,000 feet of schools, parks, and playgrounds. So Wilkerson wants homeless camping next to our schools, parks, and playgrounds. We can't trust Betsy Wilkerson to keep our kids safe.
Considering selling your RV? R&R wants it. Tired of paying storage fees? R&R needs it. Just don't use it anymore? R&R will buy it. Due to a critical shortage of pre-owned RVs, R&R RV is currently paying absolute top dollar for your used RV. Any year, any make, any model. Turn your RV into cash or flip it for a newer model. So if you no longer use it or want it, let R&R RV buy it. Visit the R&R RV Superstore in North Spokane or call Ryan at 509-244-5888.
Spokane's hottest music.
Break me so done with you, girl. I've been popping, man, I feel just like a rock star.
Hot 96.9.
What you see is important. That makes quality eye care important too. Get personalized care from experienced optometrists at Shopko Optical. Better eye care. You'll see. Schedule your comprehensive eye exam at shopko.com or bring in your outside prescription.
4 News Now is brought to you by Coeur d'Alene Casino Resort Hotel.
Hey, we've been talking about those cooler temperatures, and that could mean a steep heating bill at the end of the month. So here are a few things you can do right now to keep costs down while keeping your family warm. Check your doors and windows for any gaps that could let in cool air. Avista says a 1/4 inch gap around your doors, like having an almost 7-inch hole in the side of your wall. Avista also says to isolate your windows to keep the heat in and the winter air out. For more tips like this, look for this story on KXLY.com.
I've got a 100-something-year-old house. Might as well be outside with how many gaps and cracks I've got in there. I did have to turn the heat on today, so just goes to show you things getting chilly out there, and we are just getting started. A hard freeze for many of us. It's the first freeze of the season, and we're going to see low 20s and upper teens as we head into the weekend. Here's temperatures right now. There's a lot of frigid air by fall standards, mind you. In western Montana and up north in Canada, it's trying to push into North Idaho and northeastern Washington tonight. So far, holding off for now, but as we continue through the night, we'll see those temperatures even getting down into the 20s, Bonners Ferry, Colville, and Sandpoint, and down into the low 30s in Spokane and Coeur d'Alene. You can see as you head further south, things get just a little bit warmer. Now, with all the rain that we have had over the past couple of hours around Spokane and Coeur d'Alene, there is likely going to be some patches of ice under that snow in the morning. Just another reason on the side roads and the sidewalks, be really careful out there. Just getting out of your neighborhood, probably going to be the most challenging part of your commute in the morning. Temperatures will pop up into the 40s in many areas or upper 30s. Either way, we're getting above freezing, and so we'll see some melting, wet roads, much improved conditions for the second half of the day. And here is your forecast for the rest of October. So we have a small chance for a couple of showers, especially in North Idaho, and they'll be mostly snow showers. Thursday and Friday, we clear out. Beautiful weather Saturday and Sunday, but that also means our temperatures crash. We're talking about low 20s, upper teens in many areas. We warm up just a little bit heading into the new week, but you are still gonna wanna have a coat and some gloves when you are out trick-or-treating with the kiddos on Tuesday or on Sunday, or if you're sitting in the stands for a football game Friday or Saturday, or yeah, it's gonna feel like winter. So hopefully you got all the gear out this weekend when we were telling you about this cold that was coming.
All right, man. Thank you much. Well, number of
Download the 4 News Now app today.
4 News Now is brought to you by Andy's Heating and Cooling.
I don't think anything could be better than what I'm experiencing right now.
We've been through a roller coaster of emotions.
Gary and I are literally on cloud 9.
I'm falling for him.
I hope he's feeling the same way.
I'm holding their hearts in my hands. I don't know how I'm going to make that decision.
As long as you love me.
The most important issue in this mayor's race, crime and public safety. I'm Nadine Woodward. We cannot let Spokane become Seattle. It's why I increased police patrols, opened new precincts, and got dangerous offenders off the streets with our Violent Crimes Task Force. My opponent? She's helped fund criminals and is supported by anti-police activists. I'm proud to be endorsed by law enforcement. I'm Nadine Woodward, and I approve this message. Let's make crime illegal again.
What you're seeing today is Dr. Renee Badreau completing a successful eye surgery and the dedicated hours of training in virtual reality that helped make it happen, allowing her to practice surgical techniques, to increase access to quality care through immersive environments. These are the ways surgeons with Fundamental VR and Orbis are using the metaverse today.
At Joya Child and Family Development, little ones with developmental challenges are surrounded with support so they can reach their full potential.
Whether helping a child reach important milestones or uncovering a specific need, Joya offers specialized services so every child can thrive.
Numeric is honored to partner with organizations like Joya as they enhance lives, fulfill dreams, and build communities.
Check out more organizations that make our community stronger at numericacu.com.
You know, this adversity is good for us. It's good just to have that reset of, hey, like, we still have to work harder than everybody else to get the results that we want, and I think going forward, you're going to see that.
Well, Washington State football says they're going to be a different team moving forward, and they need to be. The Cougars have lost 3 in a row, which makes qualifying for a bowl game that much tougher. The Cougars need at least 3 more wins to be guaranteed a bowl game. WSU will look to end their losing streak on Saturday against Arizona State. Now, while a Pac-12 championship is unlikely at the moment, the Cougars say there's still a lot to play for.
I have no doubt that, we'll find ourselves in a bowl game. It's really on us, and that's the way we love it, is making sure that we're doing everything that we can to make sure we earn that last game. We really can turn the season into what we want it to be, and guys got to show up every single day with the attitude to win.
And they'll get that chance on Saturday. Kickoff between the Cougs and Sun Devils is at 5 o'clock in Tempe, Arizona. Eastern Washington hits the road to take on Portland State this week. The Eagles are just 1-3 in away games this season. Now, with the exception of the season opener against North Dakota State, all of the road games came down to the wire.
3 of the 4 have been really in our hands if we wanted to get it done. We just didn't get it done. Everybody wants to know why it didn't get done. Sometimes it just doesn't get done. Sometimes your kids just don't put their laundry away. Well, you've done it for 3 weeks. Why didn't you? Sometimes it just doesn't work out the way you want it to. But as long as we're willing to learn from those undone moments, we can go for it.
Kickoff against Portland State is at 1 o'clock on Saturday in Hillsboro, Oregon. There are a combined 10 former Gonzaga and Washington State basketball players in the NBA between the two schools. A few of them were on display tonight. Opening night in the NBA, former Washington State star Klay Thompson scored 15 points, including 3 3-pointers as Thompson's Golden State Warriors fell to the Phoenix Suns 108-104. And former Gonzaga Bulldog Rui Hachimura had 8 points for the Los Angeles Lakers in tonight's loss to the Denver Nuggets. A fellow former Zag, Julian Strawther, who was a rookie for Denver, did not play in the game. Strawther suffered an ankle injury during the preseason and was cleared to play tonight, but he might be part of that moving forward. Now, the Seattle Kraken and Detroit Red Wings, 2 teams that are at 2 very different points in their season. The Red Wings are one of the best teams in the league right now. The Kraken have struggled in the early going. Now, both the Kraken and the Red Wings would face off tonight. We're going to go with the highlights here straight to the third period. Game tied in the third period. 4 is the final. Seattle ends Detroit's 5-game winning streak. And the Kraken will now hit the road to take on the Carolina Panthers on Thursday night. That'll wrap us up for sports.